Have you ever felt like you're pouring your heart into someone, but deep down something feels off? Like no matter how much love, time, and energy you give, they only show up when they need something? It starts subtly. They make you feel special, needed, even loved. But soon the pattern emerges. Your sacrifices go unnoticed, your kindness is taken for granted, and the moment you ask for something in return, silence. This is not love. This is being used. Psychology fact. Dr. Robert Hare, an expert in manipulative behavior, found that toxic partners follow a predictable cycle. First, they charm you, then they exploit you, and when you're no longer useful, they discard you. The worst part, many people don't even realize they're being used until it's too late. But you won't be one of them. Because today, we're breaking down the 7 biggest red flags that your partner might be using you. Signs that are so subtle, they often go unnoticed. Until they destroy your confidence, your happiness, and even your sense of self-worth. Stick around till the end because I won't just expose these signs. I'll also reveal the psychological tools you need to reclaim your power before it's too late. Let's dive in. Red flag number 1, they only show up when they need something. Imagine this. It's late at night. Your phone lights up. It's them. Finally, you smile thinking they missed you, but as you open the message, your heart sinks. Hey, can you do me a favor? No, how was your day? No, I miss you. Just another request, another withdrawal from a love bank you've been filling all alone. Does this sound familiar? If so, you might not be in a relationship. You might just be a resource. Psychologists call this instrumental love. It means they don't value you for who you are, just what you can do for them. Research by Dr. Deborah Tannen on relationship dynamics reveals that manipulative partners form convenience attachments, staying close when it benefits them, but vanishing when you need them most. Think about it. Would they still be around if you stopped giving? Are they investing in you or just the perks of being with you? If every time they call, they want something, but when you call, they're too busy, you're not in love, you're being used. What can you do? Test the waters, pull back. Stop being the first to call, the first to give, the first to sacrifice. See if they still reach out when they don't need anything. Their reaction will tell you everything. Set boundaries. Next time they ask for something, try this. I'd love to help, but I also need to feel valued in this relationship. A real partner will listen. A user, they'll get defensive, frustrated, or worse, disappear. And if they do, congratulations. You just saved yourself from months, maybe years of emotional exhaustion. But here's the real danger. If they're using you for things, what else might they be manipulating? This next red flag reveals a disturbing pattern that most people don't notice until it's too late. Stay with me, because this one could be breaking your self-worth without you even realizing it. Red flag number 2, they make you feel guilty for having needs. Imagine this. You've been there for them every time when they were sick, when they were stressed, when they needed support. You dropped everything. But today you need them. Maybe you're feeling down, overwhelmed, or just need a small favor. So you gather the courage to ask, and instead of a warm response, you get a sigh, an eye roll, or worse, wow, I do so much for you and you're still complaining. That sinking feeling in your chest, that confusion racing through your mind. That's not love. That's emotional manipulation. Why this happens? Your emotions are not the problem here. Their response is. Psychologists call this guilt tripping, a form of emotional control designed to make you doubt yourself. Instead of addressing your feelings, they twist the story to make you feel like the villain. Suddenly, you're questioning if you were too needy, too sensitive, or expecting too much. But here's the truth. Healthy love never makes you feel guilty for simply wanting to be heard, supported, and valued. Dr. Ramani Durvasula, an expert on narcissistic relationships, explains that toxic partners use guilt as a weapon. It keeps you feeling indebted, always trying to prove your worth while they avoid taking responsibility. And here's the scary part. The longer this continues, the more you start believing that your needs don't matter. What to do? It's time to take back your power. Here's how. Flip the script. Next time they try to guilt trip you, respond with, I understand you feel that way, but my feelings matter too. This simple statement forces them to acknowledge your emotions instead of dismissing them. Stop justifying your needs. You do not need to explain why you deserve love and respect. If someone truly cares about you, they won't make you feel guilty for expecting basic kindness. And if they still refuse to see your worth, That's a sign to reevaluate if they deserve a place in your life. Because real love isn't a transaction, it's a two-way street. And speaking of unfair relationships, have you ever noticed how some people take and take but never give back? That brings us to red flag number 3. They never reciprocate, and this one is even more dangerous. Let's talk about it. Red flag number 3. They never reciprocate. Are you the only one trying? You plan their birthdays, you remember their favorite meal, you go out of your way to make them feel special. But when it's your turn, silence. No effort, no appreciation. It feels like you're loving for the both of you, doesn't it? Psychology behind it. This isn't love, it's emotional labor. A relationship where one person gives endlessly while the other just takes is what psychologists call one-sided investment. Dr. John Gottman's groundbreaking research on relationships reveals a critical pattern. Healthy couples maintain a 5-to-1 ratio, 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative. But if you're constantly feeling undervalued, exhausted, or questioning your worth, it's not a relationship. It's an emotional transaction. And here's the hard truth. Love is not proven by sacrifice. Love is proven by reciprocity. What to do? Pull back and observe. Stop overgiving for a while. Do they step up, or do they only notice when their benefits stop? This test reveals everything. Ask directly, do you see this relationship as equal? Their reaction will speak louder than any love song or excuse. If they dismiss your feelings, it's a major sign they were never truly invested. But here's where it gets even deeper. Because when one-sided love continues, it leads to something even more dangerous. Emotional gaslighting. Red flag number 4. They dismiss your feelings. The silent betrayal. Imagine this. You finally gather the courage to express what's been hurting you. Your voice trembles, your heart pounds, and all you want is for them to just listen. But instead of comfort, you get an eye roll, a sigh, a cold, dismissive, you're overreacting. And just like that, the pain that felt so real suddenly seems invalid. This is not love. This is emotional manipulation. This isn't just a careless response. It's a control tactic known as gaslighting. When someone repeatedly dismisses your feelings, they make you doubt your own emotions, your experiences, even your reality. Dr. Robin Stern, author of The Gaslight Effect, explains that when a partner constantly minimizes your emotions, it chips away at your self-trust. You start thinking, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe it's all in my head. Warning, the longer you stay in this cycle, the harder it is to break free. Gaslighting isn't just about one argument. It's a slow, toxic erosion of your confidence. But here's the truth. Your feelings are not too much. Your emotions are not a burden. You deserve to be heard. How to break free and reclaim your voice. Step 1. Shift the power dynamic. Next time they dismiss you, try this. Instead of getting defensive, say, I feel unheard when you say that. My feelings are valid and I need to be listened to. Why does this work? Because it subtly shifts control back to you. You're not asking for validation, you're stating your worth. Step 2, look for patterns, not excuses. Was this a one-time reaction, or is this who they are? If dismissal is their default response, it's not an accident, it's a pattern, and patterns don't change without action. Ask yourself, when was the last time they genuinely listened to me? Do I feel emotionally safe in this relationship? If the answers leave you feeling empty, it's time to rethink if this person deserves a seat at your table. And if you think this is bad, wait until you hear the next red flag. Because some people don't just dismiss your feelings, they use fear to control you. And that's where things turn truly toxic. Keep watching. This next part is crucial. Red flag number 5, they threaten to leave to control you. The silent weapon of manipulation. Imagine this. You're in the middle of a disagreement. You're trying to express how you feel, but instead of listening, they hit you with, if you don't do this for me, maybe we shouldn't be together. Suddenly, your heart drops. You feel an instant wave of panic. The fear of losing them takes over, and before you know it, you're apologizing, even when you did nothing wrong. Sound familiar? This isn't love. This is emotional blackmail. Psychologist Dr. Susan Forward calls this manipulative dependency. It's a control tactic designed to make you feel like their love is conditional, something they can take away the moment you stop pleasing them. Here's the real danger. Over time, this erodes your self-worth. Your brain starts associating love with anxiety. You become trapped in a cycle of constantly proving yourself, like fearing that one wrong move will make them walk away. But ask yourself, should love ever feel like a hostage situation? What to do? Flip the script. Instead of reacting with fear, say, if that's how you feel, then maybe we should talk about why you think leaving is the solution. This forces them to either have a real conversation or reveal that they were just bluffing to manipulate you. Take back your power. Remind yourself, a real partner doesn't use fear as a weapon. Love isn't a transaction where one person holds all the control. Here's something to think about. If they're willing to leave so easily over something small, will they really be there when things get tough? And that brings us to the next, even more dangerous red flag. What if they don't just threaten to leave, but actually start draining the life out of you? Let's talk about red flag number 6, the one that leaves you emotionally exhausted without even realizing it. Red flag number 6, they leave you drained, not energized. Imagine this, you finally meet your partner after a long, exhausting day. You're hoping for comfort, a little warmth, maybe even a smile. But instead, you leave feeling even more drained, like all the energy has been sucked out of you. Does this sound familiar? Every conversation feels heavy. Every interaction feels like a test. And worst of all, you feel lonelier with them than you do when you're alone. This isn't love. This is emotional exhaustion. Psychology behind it. According to research from the American Psychological Association, when a relationship constantly drains you, it's not just stress, it's emotional burnout. And burnout is dangerous. It dulls your mind, weakens your confidence, and over time, it makes you forget who you were before this relationship. And here's the scariest part. Your body knows before your mind does. If you constantly feel fatigued, unmotivated, or even physically sick after seeing them, it's not a coincidence. It's a warning sign. What to do? Step 1, do a relationship energy check. Ask yourself, do I feel more alive or more drained after spending time with them? If the answer is drained, it's time to reevaluate. Step 2, set emotional boundaries. You are not their emotional punching bag. If every interaction leaves you exhausted, start limiting how much energy you give. Protect your peace. Step 3, start prioritizing you. A healthy relationship should add to your life, not subtract from it. If you're constantly running on empty, it's time to ask yourself, am I in love or am I just emotionally trapped? And here's the real kicker. If they truly care about you, they will uplift you, not drain you. Which brings us to the next red flag, the one that reveals if they're genuinely invested or just stringing you along. Red flag number 7, they avoid commitment conversations, the silent red flag that can break your heart. Imagine this. You're sitting across from them, heart pounding. You've been together for months, maybe even years. And tonight, you finally gather the courage to ask, where is this going? Their face changes, a slight hesitation. Then comes the dreaded response, I don't know what I want right now. Let's just see where things go. Does this sound familiar? The truth is, when someone truly values you, they don't leave you in a state of emotional limbo. Uncertainty is a choice. And in relationships, it's often a choice to keep one foot in and one foot out, enjoying the perks of love without the responsibility of commitment. Psychologist Dr. Helen Fisher, a leading expert on love and relationships, found that people who avoid commitment often do so because they want the emotional support of a relationship, but fear the accountability that comes with it. They want your love, your loyalty, your time, but not the responsibility of choosing you fully. And that, my friend, is not love. That's emotional convenience. So what can you do? Set a boundary, not a question. Instead of asking, do you see a future with me? Say this. I am looking for something serious, and I need to know if we're on the same page. I deserve clarity, and I won't settle for less. This shifts the power dynamic. It's no longer about them deciding. You are setting the standard for what you deserve. Give a deadline, not endless hope. If they still avoid the conversation, give yourself a clear timeline. Something like, I'm not waiting forever. If we're not moving forward, I need to move on. Psychologists call this self-respecting ultimatums, a way to protect your heart from being strung along indefinitely. Here's the hard truth. Someone who genuinely wants you will never risk losing you. Their actions will show commitment, not confusion. If your heart feels heavy right now, I want you to take a deep breath. Because this is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of clarity. Recognizing these red flags isn't about blaming yourself. It's about breaking free from a cycle that was never meant to hold you. Think about it. How many times have you ignored that little voice inside you? The one whispering that something isn't right? The one telling you that love should feel safe, not like walking on eggshells? The truth is, love isn't supposed to leave you questioning your worth. Love isn't supposed to feel like a transaction where you give everything and get nothing in return. But here's the hardest part: walking away from someone who was never truly there for you in the first place. And I know, it's terrifying. The what ifs, the memories, the fear of being alone. But let me tell you something. Being alone is better than feeling invisible in someone else's presence. And here's where your power lies. You have the choice to reclaim your happiness. You have the strength to demand the love you deserve. And guess what? The moment you stop settling, the right people, the ones who see your worth without conditions, will start to enter your life. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt like you were being used in a relationship? What was the moment that finally made you wake up and say, enough? Write your opinion in the comments if this hit home for you. And if you know someone who needs this message right now, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. You never know who might need this lifeline today. You are stronger than you think. You are worth more than you know.